I like that.
I like that.
Nothing's gonna hold us back.
Nothing's going to hold us back. I mean, they can cry, they can whine, they can moan all they want, but they're like little babies splashing in the ocean, not going any place.
Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of anything, but yes, the world is crying, and Wall Street is crying right now. So,
well, is mainstream happy?
Nope, mainstream is crying too.
Is the Democrat happy?
No, they crying too.
They crying too.
They're miserable. They're worse. They're not unhappy. They're miserable. They don't know what to do.
Yeah. They don't want to see what's happening with America. They don't want to see that we are actually becoming respected again. We're actually putting we the people, the little guy, the middle people, finally getting a chance to thrive in this country. Not the 1%, not the rich and wealthy, but we the people in the middle and the bottom too.
The Democrats are like a baby looking for his mother's nipple, and they can't find it. There's no more milk for them. They're useless. They don't know what to do. No more milk, no more nipple.
They're crying, throwing temper tantrums just like children.
Well, if I could borrow a word from Governor Gavin Newsom, who stated that the Democrats are toxic. And that's
his own party. That's his own party, right?
And he's the most liberal Democrat governor in the nation.
Well,
now for him to state it, that's the Democrats are toxic.
Yeah. I think he's trying to get off that train, Voy. He sees where this is headed. And even though he is as progressive as they come, he is like the snake oil salesman. But he sees it, and he is literally pulling himself off the train that's going down. Yeah. That's what Gavin Newsom is doing, because why? He has eyes to run for president in 2028, and he is setting himself up to pull himself away from the disaster that is the Democrat Party.
But it's not going to help him, because most of the problems that are in California is because of him. Yeah. Remember, he was in the state house. He was in the city council chambers, and he created a deficit in the country in California that has put that state on the verge of economic collapse. Yeah. So yeah, he's trying to get off, but you know what? It's like a person trying to shake off the smell of a skunk, and it can't. It's with you, no matter
when you are the skunk.
That's right. You're the skunk, and it's not going to help him.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. White, let's talk about some of the things that take place this week, and as I look at around the nation. But let me first asking you this, because we're going to get to some local politics. As you go around the nation, Dr. White, and what is your senses out there? Now, President Trump yesterday called the Liberation Day. The Liberation Day due to the reciprocal tariff that the president added to majority of country around the world that we trade business with. Even my home country in Haiti, 10%. So reciprocal. So the U.S. going to charge 10%. Most of the Caribbean nations around 10%. What is your sense and your feelings out there, and how do people feel about the economy? And we got to be honest, yesterday, the Dow Jones was down 1,400 points. As I'm listening to Republican, my concern is among Republicans, they don't have the guts, the rhino Republican in Washington, who never politics has been all their career, and also some of the Democrat. As I listen to Lindsey Graham, who's the chairman of the budget committee, also tonight is going to have a vote on the budget resolution to break it down so at least he could have 50 vote on budget. Yeah, that is in the Senate. Their rules is if it's under budget, they could have a simple majority, 50 votes. They don't need 60 votes. So he's even afraid that he might not get the 50 vote that he need for the budget resolution. So do you think the Republican have the stomach to pass the Donald Trump budget and look at the tariff that's going to take place next week?
Well, throughout the country, there's a group that I call the New Republicans or the New GOP members, as well as the independent voters. These people are not afraid. They understand that there's going to be some element of sacrifice. There's going to be a downturn in the economy. Now, remember, Americans have lived for a long time with downturn economies. We have learned to adapt to them, knowing that it's just for a temporary period. Most of the people that I have seen throughout the airports, throughout where I am in Georgia and Washington and other areas, they're ready for this because they understand that, one, there has to be an element of fairness. When you bring up, well, like I did last night, when you bring up the issue that a country like China was paying, we were paying something like 64% tariffs.
Absolutely correct.
You see, and what Trump has stated, he's not even asking for 64%. He's saying 34%. The point is that Americans are saying that we have to have something back because the interest is on us, not on other countries any longer. People are beginning to take on the fact that they have to become a little bit stingy with their outward position to other societies. So when you talk about, and it's not all countries that's going to be hit with heavy tariffs. For example, a great trading partner with the United States is Australia. All right, 10% reciprocal element. The UK, same thing. Israel, all right, they're a little bit higher. People don't understand that even Israel, that charges 34% to American products, Trump has stated we're going to charge them 17%.
Hold on there, Dr. White, because that's very interesting. Israel, country, we give billions of dollars because we don't want people to come out here and say, well, we in one-sided conversation, and that is not true. We're just trying to make some common sense out of things. We invite Republican and Democrat to come on the show and talk about anything. We're very open. But when you look at a country like Israel, like I stated, that we give billions of dollars for Israel to turn around and charge us almost 34% reciprocal, on tariff. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's good partnership.
No, it isn't. It is not good partnership. And I think that whole partnership has to be renegotiated. I mean, for example,
and that's what the president is asking. So by next week, some of this country will respond.
Yeah. And
I would just throw, while you're talking about Israel, I'm just going to say this, we need to, as you know, if you mention Israel and it's not favorable to them, that can be called anti-Semitism, that you're an anti-Semite. So I want us to be careful when we're talking, especially about Israel, because people get very, very sensitive when it's something that's not favorable to Israel, right? Because these YouTube streets is very sensitive with that. They will pull you in a second for anti-Semitism. I'm just saying.
Well, I don't think, Sister Warrior, that we should be handcuffed because of what people may say or think.
Oh, I know it.
because it's not about being anti-Semitic. It's about being fair. And
Yes.
if we can speak rough about Britain or Australia or China or Russia, who says that we can't say anything that's critical of Israel? Saying something critical doesn't mean that it's anti-Semitic. And I'm not going to allow anyone to label us in that manner. Because again, as most Americans right now, over 80% of Americans are saying that whole negotiation with Tel Aviv must be redone. I mean, for example, we don't have universal health care here, but Israel does. We have a deficit of trillions of dollars. Israel has a balanced budget. Our educational system is falling apart. Theirs is one of the highest quality in the world.
Mhm.
You see, they have mandated housing for every citizen. You don't go to Tel Aviv or Haifa or Jerusalem and see people on the streets, homeless, hungry, and ragged. They have policies for that. We have something completely different. So therefore, we have to be able to say, listen, nothing against Israel. I've been there. I love it. It's a beautiful country, and it has great people. But we're talking about fairness in reference to the United States. So that is why President Trump stated, you know what? You're taxing us, terrorists, we're going to tax you back. And guess what, Sister Warrior and Voy? There has been a number of countries today have already stated that they're going to call back the tariffs that they placed on the United States.
Well, yeah, Dr. White, but let's be clear to our audiences. For some people out there who's listening to the propaganda media, who's listening, Sister Warrior, who's listening to the CNN of the world, to MSNBC of the world, to the ABC of the world, who's just a pure propaganda machine. Here we are. We have a lot of bloggers, a lot of talk radio, to have a serious conversation on this. Should we, country like Canada, Mexico, Israel, those countries that we give billion, Pakistan, I see Pakistan got a 34% on tariff. This country that we give so much money to, as far as aid is concerned, should we look at that positive negotiation to say, well, your tariff is too high? And for those who's listening out there, to say, well, President Trump's going to charge reciprocal 25% on car manufacturers. I'm not going to be able to purchase the car that I want. And he did say these are temporary basis to get some of these manufacturing jobs back. I feel like the Republican might cave in to the Democrat because Tim Kaine and the Senate just introduced a bill to stop the President Trump tariff on certain country like Canada and Mexico, because they said that's our friends and our neighbors. But if it's our friends and our neighbors, should we have better trade agreement with those countries?
Yeah, I think we should. And our friends, Mexico and Canada, one of the things I know that is concerning with President Trump is that Mexico and Canada has the opportunity to help us when it comes to everybody coming across the broad border with national security. People, and they are afraid that Mexico and Canada, our friends, is going to let in things from, different countries like China and walk right into America. So Mexico and Canada, yeah, they need to pay their fair share because they are literally opening up their back door so more trouble can come to us here in America. That's how I feel about it.
Well, Canada and Mexico have a great deal with the United States that has benefited them for decades, if not generations. And what Trump is stating is that, listen, we just want some fairness. We're not even going to tax you equally. We're just going to raise it a little bit. And because the United States has acted like a punk for a long time, and now they are acting like a lion, they're getting upset. Now, Canada, we protect Canada, right? Yeah. We allow more Canadians into this country than any other country, more than Mexico. We give them opportunities. They work here, they live here, they buy houses here without a problem. It's almost as if Canada is a state. I'm not suggesting that they should be a state. Listen to me clearly. As if they're like a state. Now, Mexico is not much difference. All right. Mexico, along with illegal cartels there, They have dropped those criminals into our backyard. Through their cartels, they have been able to bring in cocaine and other drugs. There are several countries that utilize Mexico. We're talking about Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil, Cuba, Argentina. Several countries use the corridor of Mexico to bring drugs into the country. I remember years ago when I was on a White House a White House commission, I had stated this. All right, but you know what? The political leaders at that time, like now, didn't want to believe it. Their head is in the dirt, like ostriches. So those winos who are fighting against the Trump agenda, which is not a bad agenda, it's a common sense agenda. Well, if they don't want to get on board, guess what? Like Biden said, we don't forget and we remember. We remember you at election day.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
We can't hold back. We have to hit them hard. You're either with us or you're not.
Yep. I am in agreement with you, brother. Truth teller, telling it like it is.
Yeah, and also what's taking place with my travels is that a number of African American men, especially, and women, are on board with this. I mean, this week, the National Action Network organization headed by Al Sharpton is having their national convention, and they're crying that they don't have enough people registered to go. They're looking at. Then you have a march that's scheduled for the 5th, and the African American community says, "Count us out." We're not.
No, Dr. White, people are starting to get it. People are starting to understand. Just the other day, President Trump said, well, I'm focused on the American people, the working class. Yes, Wall Street could take a hit for a second. So here you are, you have the billionaire who's coming out with some serious policies, some serious proposal. It takes a guts. And that's going to apply to you and Amania. In whatever race that you guys going to run, you have to challenge this Democratic radical representative that's in Congress.
Absolutely.
And President Trump shows that, because there's no way, and if you're running for a District 10, to have Maxwell fraud standing in front of you who don't have data, who don't understand probably half of the things that we're talking about here on a debate. Okay. And this is the kind of thing that you lay out, because you're going to have some of the local media that is going to prep those debate, is going to have got you question. And that's the reason I have these radio shows for some of my Republican friend to out there to listen to this. This is how you bring the debate on substance, okay, facts, because now the American people is getting this. Because when you look at a country like Vietnam, and you know what Vietnam is, Vietnam made majority of the sneakers. That's where Nikes, and Vietnam got a 46% tariff on the United States. 46%. So you have people already out there concerning, well, they're not going to be able to afford their sneakers for their kids, and they're going to blame Donald Trump. They're not going to be able to do this, buying a certain clothes, because a lot of it made in Vietnam, a lot of major brand of the sneakers, because of cheap labors that's in Vietnam. But 46%, Dr. White.
Yeah. It's so funny that you talk about.
And let's take our culture. You know, there's a lot of black folks who I like to wear some nice sneakers, even myself, you know, a little bit when I can afford it.
Right. That's interesting, because I don't know of any young person who are buying those sneakers for less than $100 or $110. It's already high. It's overpriced. And that's another issue, because that's starvation. They're using almost slave labor in Vietnam and these countries to make those sneakers. Michael Jordan. You got to change that, man. So,
I
so
would. Somebody's asking us. We have somebody in the chat, and his question is, can you explain to us how the tariffs on Trump's Liberation Day charts were calculated? That's a second part, but his first question is, can you explain what a tariff is and which entity in the supply chain pays the extra cost? So essentially, tariffs are taxes, right? We are taxing other countries for them sending in their goods to this country. So just like you pay taxes on, your whatever products you buy, this is a tax for these countries. So they're paying us before they can send their products into the country. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's almost, when you're on that turnpike, right? When you're on that turnpike and you're coming in from Georgia, you're going to turnpike, that's a tax. All right, that's a tax. All right, when you buy that little chewing gum, and that little chewing gum is made in Nicaragua, all right, and now that chewing gum is 60 cents to be made, but now you pay 80 cents for it, that's a tariff. It's very simple to understand. All countries, all societies pay tariffs. Remember, let's add a little biblical thing to it real quick. Remember, Jesus was not charged as being a militant there. He was charged because they stated that he wasn't paying taxes to the Roman crown. Every society have taxes, and you have to pay them.
Yeah.
And it's only fair. Now, if the person is talking about, the person got the question off of AI. I can hear that right now. I'm an academic.
All right, thank you for your question.
Dr. White, and we're going to stay on tariff for a minute. 25% on import cars. So you have a lot of dealers right now in the United States, big dealers and the banking system. Is a lot of dealers trying to sell before that take effect next week, I believe, because the price is going to go up. So you already have the liberal media, the radical left, say this economy is not going to be sustained based on those tariffs that Donald Trump is adding. But
well, you want to handle it, sister?
Well, I'll say this. What I'm thinking about all this, yes, once you see the liberal media is going crazy this way, pushing propaganda, we are onto something good. That's just always been my impression when it comes to the media, because whenever they're out here making you scare tactics, I say we're onto something good. And so what I would also say with this conversation is that this really gives we, the Americas, the opportunity to bring back the manufacturing here in America. Because when we are bringing manufacturing back, when we're doing these things here in our own land, then we don't have to worry about the major for it to be shipped here, all of the shipping costs, all that. If it's being made here, if your chewing gum is being made here in America, it's going to taste better, and it's going to be better for the American man who's going to actually work to make that chewing gum. So I'm all for it.
Well, here's also interesting is that we shouldn't listen to the Democrats on this anyway. Do you know that the Democrats, there's not one congressperson of the Democrats that has a background in economy and economics? Mm-hmm. Not one. All right. So they barely can count 1 and 1 is 2. They have no clue of how the economic or the business structure of this country work. If they did, they will understand that the United States cannot continue on this policy of just paying out when the deficit is going down and farther down, and it is hurting the American people. We are now have become an economically ruined society if this is not changed radically. You see, so they have to get out of this idea that, it's going to hurt other people's feelings. As Donald Trump stated the other day, he stated that, listen, we have to have tough talk with our allies. It doesn't mean that we don't love them. It doesn't mean that we hate them.
But
So that has to happen.
really,
Tough enough.
the president is really taking bold action, and he doesn't have a majority on his party is supporting him. But the American people does, but the majority in Washington, and we got to be fair, not most of the major on his party support his action. I'm looking at Washington today. There's a lot of confusion in Washington, Dr. White, and I'm being honest with you. There's a lot of confusion right now because they're so concerned about yesterday the stock market. What negative impact do you see if the tariff lasts long term on the stock market, Dr. White?
Well, first of all, we have to understand that the stock market, like the larger American community, has ebbs and flows, ups and downs. That's how it works. That's Keynesian thought.
Absolutely.
Right? That's how it works, regardless of what is taking place. And it has a way of rebuilding itself. We have put together firewalls after the Depression, so that would never happen again. But what they're utilizing is a whole element of a fear tactic. The economy will respond. How would it respond? First of all, he stated that if you are a country that is heavily taxing us, we're going to reciprocate and we're going to block your items. Every country wants to sell their items in the United States because Americans are crazy. We buy anything, right? So we have that. Secondly, he's also talking about bringing in manufacturing. That will offset the element of the high tariffs, because when you have manufacturing and industry building, the economy grows up. He has already put in place what we call the gold card, whereby people who will invest millions of dollars in the United States and follow that up with building industries, they get a pass in. We also call that the H-1 visa. All right. So the people who's putting this out there, they're just trying to scare the American people. They know nothing about economics, and all they know is that, listen, if I can scare these Negroes and these poor whites long enough, perhaps they'll vote for me for another term.
Well,
I'd like to add with that just a quick thought. I remember with manufacturing when Bill Clinton was in charge, and they closed up shop here in America and they shifted the jobs, they shifted the factory works outside of this country. And I remember my mother, who worked in the factories, she had to go and figure out, how she was going to provide, because her factory job was closed. They gave them a little check and they said, goodbye, thank you for your service, we're moving to China. And so one of the things that we're seeing here is, if we're able to bring those jobs back to America, industry here is really going to be key. And it's going to really put the American workers back to work and be able to build infrastructure, be able to build us the way we were once again before they shifted all of our jobs and everything to other countries. So.
Absolutely. The phone number is 478-946-80, 478-946-80. The audience, you're free to call. See how the Trump tariff is going to affect your life, and what do you think about it? Are you supporting it? So hopefully the audience, the phone line is open, 478-946-80. We'll be glad to take your question. Let me say hello to Mrs. Principals out there, if you're out there listening to me. Hello, how are you doing? Happy Thursday. And let me say hello to Glenn. All good. And my good friend Don Miller, don't forget to check out his show tonight on his podcast, on his platform. So yes, the phone number is open, 478-946-80. And if you look at the camera, you might see Jeff out there doing his little dancing behind the board, so you might enjoy that a little bit. So
yeah. Also, we have to look at where this extra money is going to be used for. And look at it. We have infrastructure problems in the United States. Our bridges are falling down. Remember the bridge that fell down in Baltimore the other day? I think it was Baltimore or someplace like that.
Yeah.
and they found that it hadn't been inspected for such a long time. We still have a water problem in Flint. We have decaying grid system in Florida. That money that we're utilizing to tax can come back to rebuild our infrastructure. All right, people have to begin to get out of this idea. Well, it's no benefit for me. Yes, it is benefit for you, because if you want to walk across the bridge knowing that it's not going to fall down, you want to drink water knowing that it's not going to poison you. You want to have a school system knowing that that it's going to educate your children adequately, whereby most of our children are graduating now who can't read, but at fourth grade level. I mean, we have to start thinking. All right, stop getting caught up in the emotion, and that's what the Democrats want: emotion, emotion, emotion.
Dr. White, you just say something here. I know you're a little bit older than me. When did you see the declining in America starting with this liberal mentality? And I look at the country today, I'm like, we are a weak nation. If most of this country were able to charge us these high-end tariff on products that we've been paying, that as a consumer we have been paying it. That's what a lot of people don't understand. And is it an educational system? Because you look at folks out there is confused, Dr. White, and that's a final point on that. And we'll move on to something else. Let me have both of you guys thought on that.
Well, I started seeing things really with the Obama administration. We always had a liberal strain within the country, and if we survive for another 400 and 500 years, we're still going to have that. But when Obama came in, and the people around him, the liberalism seemed as if they took a pill.
But
They
Dr. White,
became
hold on.
liberal on steroids.
You say Obama, and I think I'll go back since Jimmy Carter. But for people
Well,
they'll listen to you, an African American, people might say, "Well, why you pick up on the black president?" To see the
I'm not
decline
picking
of
on the
black.
black president. All right. Jimmy Carter, he was there a little bit, but it was balanced out because after Jimmy Carter came Ronald Reagan. All right. Then ultimately,
But don't forget, Reagan had a Democratic Congress
that's
because
right.
a Democrat was in Congress for 40 years.
And remember, at one time, Ronald Reagan was looked upon as being a liberal. He's looked upon as being a communist. Remember, he was a member of the Actors Guild, which was nothing more than
Absolutely.
a communist front organization. All right. But he was able to balance and weave an argument that made sense, that was not, quote, complete conservative, was not, quote, complete liberal. It was a weaving of common sense doctrine that was good for America. And just like Donald Trump, Ronald Reagan came after a president who seemed like he was not fit for the job. The job was too big for him. He did not know what to do. The United States had been embarrassed in Iran. The economy was crazy. We had odd, even days that was taking place to buy gas, all types of things. We were embarrassment in Panama. So Mr. Reagan righted the wrongs, just like Donald Trump. Now, the reason why I look at Mr. Obama, because he was selected for a reason. He looked the part. No one knew him. He did not have the experience, which means that he was easily influenced, right?
Just like Kamala
Therefore,
Harris. Just like Kamala Harris.
that's right. So therefore, whatever he said, okay, it sounds good to me. Then we went on a trajectory that was completely off the wall, that made no sense, that put us in a situation that we're in now. Now, I'm not saying Obama's a bad fella. I'm just saying that he wasn't very wise. He didn't have enough backbone, and he did not have the experience. In so much, when I met him at John Morgan's house, I told him that before he ran. because I knew him when he was in Chicago. He ran for the city council. No, he ran for a congressperson against I can't remember his name, but Black Panther. He got beat up. All right. Jesse Jackson scolded him and said that you constantly talk down to Black people. All right. And then he didn't know the South Side. His wife introduced him. He wasn't no South Side guy. He was just a dude. All right, trying to learn. So anyway, so they picked him up, and because he was easily influenced, there were a number of African American people who was far more qualified, far more intelligent, far more influential than Barack Obama. Now, maybe people don't like to hear that, but that's the truth. All you have to do, if you don't believe me, all right, take a ride through Chicago and speak to some of these fellas like Jesse and Danny Davis, Louis Farrakhan, and a host of others. Talk to the people. They will tell you the same thing.
Okay, Dr. White, let me move on to another topic here. This week, there was a special election in the state of Florida and also a Supreme Court election in Wisconsin. The Democrat outspent the Republican in both of the races around in both District 1 and 6. Now, you know, when you're running in your district, in your state, you're running against the whole country with the Democrat Party because District 6 itself is about $10 billion. District 1 is about, $10 million. District 1 is about $6 to $8 million was spent on Patronus. Now, if you decide to run as a Republican, can Republican raise that kind of money? And throughout the end of the race, there was some report the Democrat was leading or the race was tight. President Trump was not on the ballot. But as a result of this race, it was going to be a referendum on Trump if the Republican would have lost. And also Elon Musk spent almost $20 million in the state of Wisconsin for the Supreme Court judge. The music is playing. When we come back, I'll just want to get you on guys on it. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Women this month. What are you going to do for that amazing woman in your life? This is Dr. Sadell LeGrand, and I want to tell you about A Mother's Love is Forever pre-Mother's Day concert. This is going to be featuring Pastor Shirley Caesar, our First Lady of Gospel. She's going to be joined by some amazing local artists. This will be on Saturday, May 3rd, 2025 at Story Life Church, 505 East McCormick Road, Apopka. Tickets are only $50 for preferred seating. Day of show general admission is only $40. General admission, $35 for early birds up until April 15. Get them at eventbrite.com. This is going to be sponsored by Diebold Carpet and I4 Money Game Entertainment. Our MC for the evening is Apostle Roderick Davenport. This is Dr. Sadell LeGrand, and I will see you in the place. For more information, call 863-521-4949.
Your body is a temple, but if you've been feeling sluggish, struggling with weight, or your hormones feel out of balance, it's time to give your body the care it deserves. God designed you for vitality and wellness. Skinny drops are a natural way to support your metabolism, restore hormonal balance, and help you release excess weight. They work with your body, not against it, so you can feel lighter, more energized, and aligned with the vibrant health God intended for you. I've seen so many women and men, including myself, break free from the cycle of exhaustion and weight struggles. When your body is in balance, the weight comes off naturally, and you feel renewed from the inside out.
If you're ready to honor your body and step into the health God desires for you, buy Skinny Drops today. Call Shanti to get your box at 407-353-3743. Again, call Shanti to get your box, 407-353-3743.
Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why MyLowe's Rewards is free to join. As a member, you earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases, get exclusive free gifts, and earn free shipping at Silver Key status, all on top of weekly member-only deals. Don't wait. Join MyLowe's Rewards for free today and start saving more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Central Florida, save the date, Saturday, April 12th, 2025, and join Morgan Ministries for a benefit gala. That's right, Morgan Ministries. Morgan Ministries, Inc. has touched the lives of thousands within the Central Florida community through their compassion outreach programs focused on youth mentoring, homeless feeding and services, and a transitional home for women. This year's event is going to be held at Calvary, Orlando, 1199 Clay Street in Winter Park from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., featuring saxophonist James Johnson and the Daughters of Zion Praise Dancers. So save the date, Saturday, April 12th, Calvary, Orlando. All proceeds for the evening will benefit the Morgan Ministries
to Inspiration 1680 AM at WOKB Winter Garden at W2640F 100.7 FM Kissimmee.
For tickets and additional information, go to eventbrite.com or Inspiration
1680 AM and 100.7 FM Kissimmee.
The views and opinions of the following program is not necessarily those of WOKB staff and management of you.
Welcome back to Political Flashback. We're in the second hour of our show. Remember, the number is 478-946-1680. The phone line is open. You could go ahead and participate in our conversation, have some great conversation, political talk every Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. with my two wonderful colleagues and my engineer here at the board, Jeff. And so we open for business. And also we open for business for advertising. So on the radio. So don't forget to call the radio station, 407-894-1680. Dr. White, I think I had left with you. Amania, you could take this too. On this special election, the state of Wisconsin passed a constitutional amendment require voter ID. I thought we're living in America. That was a requirement. Why is the state law? Most of the state doesn't require ID to vote.
Well, sadly, we have.
Okay. Go ahead, Dr. White. You go.
Well, sadly, we live in a country whereby people could function as Americans without proper identification. This is not something that has just taken place 4 or 5 years ago. This is like a 30-year process that has been taking place, and people have been utilizing American services and unfairly. Some of them have even been voting unfairly. So therefore, the Wisconsin move is nothing more than bringing American government up to speed. You can't even go and buy cigarettes or vapor without showing an ID. All right, you can't even take your dog to the vet without showing an ID. You can't do nothing. All right, so what's the problem with this? The problem is that, again, some of our colleagues on the left really would like to short circuit the system by having these people to participate illegally within a structure that would benefit the party and themselves individually. And that is wrong. And the second part, I want to go back to Florida just for a second. Give me a minute. With the win that what is his name, Randy Fine had, and his opponent raised $10 million, and Randy Fine with $900,000. It shows the people in Central Florida that you can win if you come out and support them. You may not have as much money. You see, the Republicans in Florida and in Central Florida specifically have been acting like cowards. They say, we can't do it, we don't have the money, we can't do it because this, that, and the other. But if you have the will to come out there to do the right thing, the people will support you. Money don't always win. They utilize that as a weapon to scare you.
Mm-hmm.
All right? The times have changed. All right? So we have to capitalize that. So when Sister Warrior runs, or when one of our other colleagues runs, stop just talking about money unless you're going to give them some money. You can do that. But get your backside out there to canvas and to work for them and to bring about a new day, and stop acting as if you are a little sissy behind your mother's dress. And I call it for what it is. All right? I'm not even trying to be politically correct. Just call it for what it is. That woke thing got to stop.
Yeah. So I am in agreement with you talking about what just happened here in Florida. And, this President Trump was not on the ballot. And so what I understand is that even though we won, and we won by a good majority, but it wasn't until last minute that Republicans really put the horse to the plow to really get it done. And so we really we knew this special election was coming since, 3 months now. We knew that this is coming, and they were not really prepared. But even with all of that, it took them $900,000 a fine to do this, where the Democrats had what?
10 million.
10 million. And so I'm in agreement with you when we talk about, even though here in our area, it is very, very Democrat and very, very blue. Why? I couldn't tell you, when the Democrats continue to fail us. But with this election in 2026, this is really our turn for people to say, you know what? We've had it with the Democrats. We've had it with these terrible policies. People are rejecting them, not just in Florida. They're rejecting them all over the country. So why can't Orange County get on board and reject it too? So that really upsets me, because when we have people like Val Demings, we have Maxwell Frost, and these diehard Democrats who does nothing good for the community, and people keep voting for them, it sickens me. And so we have to get more people on board and say, no, we don't want these woke radicals in office. And just like what just happened here, we put 2 Republicans back in, and we've kept the majority in the House. And we need to continue that push in 2026 to remove some of these woke Democrats like Maxwell Frost.
Dr. White, I was able to share a conference call with Evan Power. He's the chairman of the Florida GOP. And my question in the conference call, and I'm going to share with both of you guys. Early voting, the Democrat was out spacing us in the early voting. And both District 1 and 6. Money. One of the candidates the GOP did have a problem with, that is Randy Fine. It's not a secret. But he come out victorious. Mm-hmm. What have I learned on this special election? Once again, Republicans have to get an early start and early voting and motivated our voters. Okay. Now we know what we're up against with, because the reason why those District 1 and 6, it was a national election, Dr. White. It was a national election, Sister Warrior. A lot of outside money. Now let's compare that to Wisconsin, where I think I have a clip where the media was complaining that Elon Musk put $25 million behind a conservative candidate. But so is George Soros. Finally, the liberal media admit they are rigging election and putting a lot of money to being exposed. Now, we're going to have an election in 2026 coming in for District 10, Dr. White, and I want you to get an early start on this. It's for the GOP, locally GOP, to sit down with him to see where is your Republican voters at and what resources is the local GOP and the Florida GOP have access to get an early start. Randy Fine, yes, he had Donald Trump behind him. Okay. We know how the Florida chairman of the GOP feel certain district right here is not winnable. You just stated, Dr. White, it is a culture change. It is a cultural revolution. How do I change the mind of the Florida GOP and some of the local GOP down here to make sure they get behind some of our candidates?
Well, first of all, I mean, we have to talk to them and say, listen, this is a new day. We want your support. We need your support. However, there are a number of different people out there, different type of young GOP voter, as well as the independent. That young GOP voter saying that, listen, I want to go to a time whereby I can open up my business. I want to go to a time whereby the American dream is there. I don't want to play, quote, politics any longer. I just want someone who represents my interests. That's a new one. Then you have the independent. Now note, there are more independents now within the district than Republicans and Democrats, but they're running away from the Democrats. Now, there was a preconceived idea that all independents naturally go towards the Democrats. Well, that has been debunked completely. They're going towards more conservative lines because they're thinking about their longevity, what type, their business development, their family growth. That's what they're thinking about. So therefore, we have to focus on them and say, this is the people we have to look at. The old GOP, we want you to be with us, but this is where it's happening. And that's how we'll win. Because right now, the Democrats in Central Florida don't have a clue. We have Maxwell Frost, who brought in, I think, what's his name, Senator Rankin, to speak at some golf club. I cannot remember the name of it offhand. Very wealthy for other billionaires. And he brought it in because he doesn't know what to say, and Rankin doesn't know what to say. The Democrats are clueless. They have no leadership. They don't understand the geopolitical world any longer. So therefore, that leaves a door for us. That leaves a door for Sister Warrior, myself, and others. All right? And we have to walk through that door. We can't walk through that door being timid. We cannot walk through that door saying, oh, I'm afraid they're not going to come and support us. We got to be tough, bold, and hardcore. All right? And that's where we are now.
And I would also just what you said there, you're absolutely right. The sweet spot is the independents because you're right. There's more registered independent than there are Republicans and Democrats, as you said. So the independent, those people that are on the fence, that doesn't want to be a part of the Democrat, they're afraid of Democrat lunacy and they want to get away from that. And we saw a lot of independents vote for Donald Trump. And so my thing is, how is it that we as the GOP, we need to be caressing and just being catering to these independents and saying, you know what, look at what Donald Trump is doing at the top for us. This could trickle down to our local communities, to our District 10, to our city, and to all of these places that, you know, that we serve. And so, yes, independent is the way to go. That's who we cater to. That is who we go after in this election in 2026.
That's right. And the independents are asking for deliverables. And the Democrats and Frost and those groups, they haven't delivered. Yes. All right. Name one factual program, industry that they have delivered to the people of District 10. and there's nothing there that you can put your teeth in. Nothing.
And just on the talk of independence, I'll just throw this in really quickly. The mayor, Eric Adams of New York City, is no longer running as a Democrat. He has pulled his Democrat card away. He is an independent now. Yeah. This is, I mean, somebody like Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, who was standing up against the Biden administration, talking about how he is having all these problems with all of these illegals coming into his city. He stood up against them. And we all saw what happened. They tried to take him down. Well, guess what? Right now, he is saying, I am no longer on that boat. I am an independent. And so that says a lot, especially for somebody like Eric Adams, who's, you know, the mayor of one of the biggest cities that we have.
And he's running against Cuomo, right? Which is one of the biggest hypocrites you can find.
Yeah, Cuomo's back in. Yeah.
But you see, speaking of Eric Adams, the judge, they finally dropped all the charges against him, so he's been clear. But do you see how that party run? They eat their own, okay? So therefore, and kudos to Eric Adams, who stand up to the Democratic Party. Yes, decided to run. Okay, I'm going to be an independent. But this is the kind of thing that we're going to see around the country when people, they used to call the Republican Party a cult, but they are the true cult of their party. If you're not, even Stephen A. Smith, you know, now they call him Omega.
Can you believe it? Stephen A. Omega.
Stephen A. Smith. Just for him to have a different opinion, and he gave the Democrat a message. He said, listen, you guys got people in your circle that want to spread your propaganda to your messages. I'm out there. I'm independent. You know, I've been voting Democrat all my life, and it's okay to speak to different folks. And he's been very blunt about it.
Yeah.
And you say some of my conservative friends, you know, I'm gonna be friends with them. But that's just to tell you the ideology and the mind of the Democratic set. This is very very dangerous to be around some of these people. I mean, even folks that listening to us right now, you know, they might say, what are these Negroes saying? You know, a lot of them disagree with us right here in this radio show.
We just have to continue to bring truth with fact. I mean, let's go back to New York a second. Have you heard that Letitia James, that one that was trying to bring down Donald Trump on reference to so-called inflating the value of his properties? Well, she's under investigation for
doing the same thing.
Worse.
Yeah.
Worse, because she put down that she married her father, all right, on paper to get a better mortgage rate. All right. Then on top of that, she owns a building in Brooklyn that is a multi-family unit, and that it has 5 or 6 or 7 units in it. She puts down that it have only 4 units. The difference, if you put down 4 units, is a residential enterprise. So therefore, your taxes are lower. If it's corporate, it's higher. She is a crook completely. That's all they do. Then we go a little bit farther. We see what Crockett, right? What's her name?
Jasmine Hackett.
Jasmine Crockett. I mean, she attacks my boy. Talk about New York, Byron Douglas, because he's originally from New York. So she don't have nothing on him politically. So she says he goes after his wife because he's white.
But but don't they have? Every time I hear this race baiting thing, I wonder how white liberals feel who support the Democrat. I do.
Well, they hate themselves. They hate themselves, so they don't mind hearing bad things about white people.
And majority of Jasmine Crockett district is white. It's not black.
Really?
Yeah.
And she's that racist?
Yes.
What is that? I didn't hear that part.
Majority of the voters in the district is highly white.
Oh yeah. I mean, she went to a white school, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, she high school and college, and And that's her class, but now she's trying to hang out like she's in the hood.
So they are literally voting for their detriment. Like this ghetto person is what they picked to represent them.
Yeah, and that's because the Democratic Party, they are paternalistic racists, which again, what that means is that they have crafted a narrative for you, if you're black or another minority, for you to follow their directives. If you think out of it, you're going against them. They are controlling you. That's a paternalistic racist.
Yeah, just like Don Lemon when he said the white man is the most dangerous man in America, and
I'm
his
gonna
partner
just
is
jump
white.
in with that. Yeah, right. He don't mind the white pipe now. He don't mind the white pipe.
And enjoying
that's
the
why
pipe.
his love is a white dude, right?
Yeah,
That's right. He doesn't mind the white pipe. Get it?
What is it? Do me, Big Daddy.
Yeah. But it's to have. I used to have him on my message thing, and he no longer message me no more. But it's just to have an opportunity to sit in front of these people, just have them eat their words, is hilarious to me. Let's go back to that Wisconsin thing. A lot of Republicans very concerned about the liberal justices just got elected because of gerrymandering around redistricting the state of Wisconsin. That's going to be in favor of the Democrat. And my concern is, why do Republicans concerned about that if we have a good message to the people of Wisconsin that could vote Republican, Dr. White?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Voy. We have to have a strong message. And since we lost that area, that really means that we wasn't putting out like we should have. We lost Eau Claire, which is upstate Wisconsin. We lost Madison area, where we have students. We lost Milwaukee. We could have done a much better job in pushing the message. Again, they were not strong enough. And then we should not be afraid also by the so-called liberal judges, because guess what? There can be an executive order to put them in place very easily because they have to get their funding. Remember, this is not a federal court. They get their funding from, again, the same legislations that other entities get their fundings from. So therefore, it can be controlled, push come to shove. Hopefully, we don't have to do that. We just have to get the right people to push the right message. And if you're a Republican, if you're afraid, that's because you're not doing your job.
Okay. Another concern was, since the constitutional amendment for voter ID passed overwhelmingly, how does the judge get elected? So why the vote split different, Dr. White?
That's a strong one there. All right. I really don't have an understanding or clue on that one. Maybe you do.
So the amendment passed overwhelmingly. It went through.
Yeah.
But the conservative judge did not.
No.
So the electorate is split?
Split.
In that way? So they're not really voting down ballot, I suppose. Because if something like that passed, that tells me there's an overwhelming majority of conservatives, because liberals don't want this in their state. They don't want that. So for it to pass, that tells me there's an oversupply of the conservative voters. So what happened when it came to voting for the judge? What happens there? I mean, we know that they put a lot of money into this, just like they did for the District 6 race here. They poured a lot of money into this. I mean, Elon Musk had, he was out there. He went to a rally. He did a rally out there. So we know the word was out there for the conservative judge. So if that passed and our guy failed, there's a lack somewhere in between. So yeah, I don't get that.
Some of the concern is they're going to look into it. I don't want to claim voter fraud there, but they should,
Yeah.
Let me let you listen to, I promise I was going to let you listen to Jake Tapper on CNN, who was, can you hear it?
Yes. No, I can't.
Okay. I'll play it later here because Jeff is not at the board right now. But she finally admitted how liberal Judge or another Democrat is pulling a lot of money into these races. And now Elon Musk, conservative, finally catch up in the outrage about this.
Yeah. Are you playing a clip?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Risk with the proper.
Hold on.
With top Democrats then and now is the else about all the infighting that occurred throughout the 2024 election. That book is called Fight: Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House. Authors Jonathan Allen and Amy Parnes join me now. The book was just published yesterday. Congratulations to both of you. Amy, let me start with you. Near the end of the book, you frame the 2024 election this way for Democrats. You say, quote, Democrats tried to break Donald Trump. Instead, they shattered again. They said they were saving the country, the presidency, and the Congress from Trump and his MAGA movement. They saved nothing, not even themselves. Democrats lost everything, including their friendships. Based on your interviews with top Democrats then and now, is the party still in the shambles it was November, December of last year?
It's honestly even worse right now, Jake. And I think they're scrambling to find out who their leader is, but they're also in the midst of an identity crisis. They don't know who they are right now. They don't know what their message is. And, you know, I've said this repeatedly over the last couple of days, but I think what they need to do, and what I think a lot of strategists are telling me, is that they need to almost burn the house down. But not only burn the house down, accept some accountability and say, this is what went wrong. This is what we need to do now. And, you know, responsibility for President Biden and maybe not getting him out sooner. And, you know, they really need to have a little bit of introspection here.
And John, the night that Biden dropped out in July and endorsed Harris as the Democratic nominee, Governor Tim Walz called Harris, you guys report, and he pitched himself to be her number two. He says, quote, I'm the one who can do this, he told her. Was Walz always going to be her pick even from day one, do you think? And do you think he will run in 2028?
He was always most likely to be her pick. There was a small set of people. It was a short run to do the vetting process. There were problems with most of the other candidates that she was looking at. And the big thing that I think the folks around her worried about was that she might pick somebody who could overshadow her. And they were not worried about that with Tim Walz in particular. Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania, your home state, Jake. Governor Shapiro was somebody who was very much in the mix. I think he had his own considerations when he went in and met with the vetting team. He started treating the situation like a negotiation, sort of said, here's what I would want to do with the vice presidential role. It was clear that he was ambitious. That didn't match up with what the Harris folks wanted. You know, whether he was preserving himself for a future run and sabotaging himself, or simply being who he was and saying, this is what I need to be a vice presidential candidate. In the end, it was not going to be him. It was not a good match for Harris. Walz was a better personal match for her. Is he going to be a candidate in 2028? I think he thinks he's going to be a candidate in 2028, but I'm not sure that he showed the Democratic Party or the American people that he had what it took in 2024 to be particularly helpful to Kamala Harris. And if he's going to do that in 2028, he's really going to have to improve.
And Amy, one Harris advisor told you guys about the election loss, quote, I don't think we needed more time. We needed more substance. And she did not have more substance. Is that how a lot of members of her own campaign felt, that there wasn't enough substance to Kamala Harris?
Yeah, I think in retrospect, they felt like they weren't doing the media interviews they needed to do. There was no clear message. When this election was about the economy, and they made it about so many different things. And they really, really should have made it about the economy and maybe immigration. But the issues that people care about, I think Donald Trump was a little more clear about what he planned to do, like him or hate him. He just ran a better campaign. It was a tighter campaign. And Susie Wiles ran a tighter ship. He in the past he ran a chaotic campaign, and so it was different in that way. But I think they need to really home in on their grassroots operation, fundraising, and message. Most importantly, they lacked a message in this election.
And John, on the matter of Susie Wiles, then co-campaign manager for Donald Trump, she had an emotional moment. You guys write in your book, "Fight." We should call it again. "Fight." There it is. Had the emotional moment in the days leading up to the Trump assassination attempt. She said to a campaign aide, quote, "I just wish people understood what this man goes through. I just worry that if they can't get him this way, they'll try to kill him." Unquote. That was a real fear for the campaign, and then it happened, thankfully not successfully.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's something that that a lot of folks forget about watching Trump. This sort of epic comeback, the most epic comeback in political history, certainly in any of our memories, and dating back to Grover Cleveland and Benjamin Harrison more than a century ago, and this was a fear for his campaign that he might be taken out legally. And then obviously Susie Wiles, who went through all that with him as his campaign manager, was fearful even before the assassination attempt that might happen. And of course, blessedly, it didn't happen.
The book is "Fight: Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House." It is available right now wherever you buy your books. John Allen and Amy Parnes are the authors. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and I hope to see you guys soon.
Dr. White, excuse me, I selected the one clip, but anyway, this one play. But some interesting note, Jake Tapper, now CNN, now the Democrat figured out that Kamala Harris was not substances enough. I find that very difficult. Now the CNN Democrat admit that they have an identical crisis, Dr. White and Sister Warrior, and burn the house down.
One of the things that the authors forgot to mention, at least in the interview, which is in the book, and that is the Obama factor. All right. People don't realize that Obama never did like Harris. All right. He was really pissed off that there was not a primary, that they destroyed the primary. He stated openly that there were other candidates that should have ran against Biden. He didn't like Biden nor Harris. And if you note that he was the last of the major players to come out to endorse Harris. You see,
so they had that beautiful phone call, Dr. White. So that was all fake.
Absolutely.
All that campaign that he did for Kamala Harris, that was all fake, Dr. White. I don't believe it.
If you are,
Dr. White,
if you are a true Democrat, that means you're a true actor.
And supporting the first Black woman, not the first Indian woman, Dr. White, I don't believe you.
That was there. That's right there. That was there. And if they would have opened up the primary, if they would not have shoved Harris down the throat, a person who ran for the presidency before and didn't even make it out of Iowa.
Well, so Dr. White, so the Democrat didn't have an identity crisis in the middle of the campaign because they couldn't figure out to run as an Indian or as a Black woman. So therefore,
they have a truth crisis. They cannot tell the truth.
An identity crisis is out of the way because they could figure it out to say, well, if she's a Black woman or she's an Indian woman.
Yeah. Or she's a woman at all. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, I don't know about that, but I say that she is a dunce. She's a dunce.
Yeah, I mean, she was not their best, and we saw that. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Obama was one of the last to come out, and when he did come out, they had the cameras ready. It was very, very staged, just like everything about Kamala Harris was staged. I mean, everything that she did was a gimmick, and so yeah, she was not neutral. She just was not the person. She didn't have it. And they know that. And now they want to say it out loud, but they all knew it. Everybody knew it. We all knew it. And if we said anything, they called us racist. If Donald Trump said it, they called him a racist, a xenophobe, and everything else, because we were telling the truth. And we're still telling the truth. But now they want to make money off of it to say, oh, yeah, we know she wasn't very good, and they need to just burn the house down and start from scratch.
Yeah, it's easy to be tough after the fact.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. White, my message to the Democrat Party, please run Tim again in 2028.
Tim. Timmy.
Dr. White, during this week in a press conference, they asked President Trump a question about running for a third term.
Well,
and since the Democrat Party and Donald Trump said he would love to run against Obama, I guess the Democrat, they don't have a leadership position. What do you make out of that? So if he's able, if Donald Trump able to run for a third term, yes, that could happen. It happened in U.S. history before.
First of all, these people don't know civics.
Yeah.
Right. You talk about the 22nd Amendment, right?
Absolutely.
And it was developed because of FDR. FDR was the only president in the United States that served 4 terms. And so they said that was too long. They were afraid of him because he's a Democrat, he tried to pack the Supreme Court. So they said, well, we're going to pass this amendment so it won't happen again. The point is, if you can pass an amendment to say that someone have to have term limitations, you can also pass an amendment that says that they can run. All right? It's just part of the political system that you have. But they're not telling you that. They're giving the impression that this man, Donald Trump, is just going to take it with some type of funny order and do it anyway. Mm-hmm. And that's because the American people, like it or not, politically, when it comes down to civics, comes down to the understanding of their own government, they're stupid. Mm-hmm. They're dunce. All right. And then you have people in the Congress don't know what the hell they're talking about, saying, yeah, he's going to be a dictator and he's going to do this. It cannot be done unless it goes through both chambers of the House, Congress and Senate. So do I believe it's going to happen? Personally, I don't. You know what does? Trump knows how to pull the strings because he knows that these people have Trump
derangement syndrome.
Yeah, that's it. All right. So he'll say stuff and these people go completely crazy. They can't even sleep at night.
Yeah.
All right. They can't eat because they're depressed.
Yeah.
He plays them like a fiddle. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're absolutely right. And on my thoughts on that, I mean, Trump, we love him. And in my opinion, and, 2016, President Trump won. He got in. It was Russia. And, his 4 years there was misery. He got a lot of business done, but we all know what happened. And, in 2020, they stole that election. I'm going to just say it. It was stolen. And so he left office. And so now he's back in. So I feel like this is a redo and that he should get 2 terms at this point after he's done. But for me, in my opinion, he will be too old in order to do the job, his mentals are still there, but I still believe, he should just get this term done and hand the baton over to, I don't know, JD, Vivek, DeSantis, any of the guys, Byron, any of those guys, and move the baton that way. But I would love to see him get his retribution and having a double term this time around.
Dr. White, let's get back to the civic. Franklin Roosevelt, he was the only president in U.S. history to have elected full-time.
Right.
He won an election in 1932, 1936, 1940, and 1944, and he died on his very last term.
Right.
And because of that, that's when the 22nd Amendment was limited the president to elected term. I'm listening to some of the professors and the Constitution professors. One of the things that Donald Trump has challenged, his term was not 2 consecutive terms. So the 22nd Amendment did not address that. That's one question for you, because it's split, so that could give him the opportunity to run. And if he also have full House and 60 in the Senate, which is that's a super majority, he could both the House and the Senate could vote because he will have a 60 senator. So which mean and in the midterm here, we have to have 60 senators and they will vote for him to run. The third option is to run as a VP with Vice President JD Vance, and if they won, they'll flip it. Is that a possibility? Can you explain that to me, to the audience, please?
Well, first of all, yes. I mean, politically, if somebody runs and he runs as a vice president, he can do that. And if the guy decides to resign, he becomes the president. Whoever runs and whoever becomes the nominee for the Republican Party, and they have vice president, if they have a Vice President Trump, I don't think it's going to work, because that person is going to want to carve out a destiny for themselves. All right,
but let's hypothetically. Yeah, let's say, because we don't know what's going to happen in 2028. If the American people decides, okay, we know Vince's going to be on the ticket, on the top of the ticket, and Donald Trump is going to be the VP. Would that give him an energy to go vote for that ticket? Or if they know that JD Vance is going to resign later and give Donald Trump the honor to be the president the third time? Can you see that scenario happen in 2020?
That could happen, but there's one thing that you can't get rid of. And there is a political culture in the United States. And that political culture has everything to do with going against an emperor. All right? We left Great Britain because of the monarchy. We created a system that had term limits because we were afraid of a monarchy and a king. The American voter, they're very fickle. We like strong people, but we don't like dynasties. All right? I mean, we say Bush family almost became a dynasty. And when Jeb Bush tried to run, they rejected him. All right? Kennedy family almost became a dynasty. When Ted Kennedy tried to run, they rejected him.
But if the mood of the country and the people really trust his policy, like I say, he got 4 years to prove it, could you see a change in one of those three scenarios that happened?
Yes, I can see it hypothetically. And that, yes, that they could say that, well, he should be able to run again because of past circumstances. I could see something whereby where both chambers, if the Republicans continue to control the Senate.
Well, and the Senate, he has to have a majority, 60 vote.
Yeah, right.
60.
Is that possible? Is that even possible to be a majority?
Yes, it is impossible. It is impossible. We have resignations. We have people dying. We have a lot of things that can come about.
Amania, remember when Barack elected his first term, he had a super majority. He had 60 Democrat.
You see.
But can Republicans do that?
Yeah.
Well,
then you have a factor that no one is talking about, and that's Mrs. Trump.
Okay.
All right. I don't think she's going to want her husband to run again. She has lost him for 8 years. She wants that man back.
Yeah. I think he's gonna do what he needs to do these 4 years. And again, he is trolling the media. You know, anything that he says, they take it and run with it like it's happening. And so he's having fun with them. And that's what Trump does. He trolls the media and they go out here boohoo, whining and crying. And that's exactly what they're doing.
Well, and make a 24-hour news cycle. That's why we always have material.
Yeah.
But there is something that Trump has to be careful of, which we haven't spoken about yet. And that is being brought into a wide conflict in the Middle East. That is what the Democrats want. They want Israel to invade Iran. They have coaxed Trump into putting more military armament in the around the Suez Canal and that area, Red Sea, and that there's saber rattling between the United States and Iran, and that's what they want, because if they can get him into a long protracted war, then his legacy is destroyed. And they don't want, that's what they want. They don't ever want to see anyone like Trump again, and they don't want to see anyone to run on his platform and say that he is a Trumpite. So that's that's a quiet thing that's taking place. So that's it. What do we think about the filibuster? Anybody talk about that yet?
It was
Spartacus doing 25 hours on the House floor. He broke the record of the biggest racist that was in the White House, and now he is Spartacus standing tall. And that is the great senator from New Jersey. Used to be my mayor, by the way. What's his name again?
Cory Booker.
Cory Booker. How could you forget?
Oprah Winfrey's toy boy.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that, huh? Now you know.
Oprah Winfrey got a toy boy.
Yeah, she had a toy boy. That was Booker.
I thought that was Gail.
We call him that too. I want that too, boy. That too, boy.
I thought that was Gail.
A whole bunch of too much of that stuff going around. Yeah, Gail, Spartacus.
Dr. White, we coming to our final point here, but the new FBI director, Kash Patel, the news media, they ignored again, has seized the phone and bank record for everyone on Nancy Pelosi's staff. According to Kash Patel, we believe there's proof that she set the whole thing up in January 6th.
Oh.
Staged the whole thing with her people.
Oh God!
And this is this blowout last week. So Kash Patel,
well,
if that come out, I think a whole lot of people in Washington should go to prison.
Well, it's interesting because they're also investigating Hillary Clinton.
Absolutely,
and Hillary Clinton just stated in a sublime manner that if they go after me and if they put me in jail, half of Washington is going to be put in jail too.
Oh gosh, she got the receipts and the numbers and the body count.
She's a snitch.
Yeah, she's going to sing.
Well, good. Let her. Let her take the whole swamp with her. That would help them a lot.
Remember that old state that's saying there's no loyalty or there's no honor among thieves.
That's right.
So they're going to start snitching on each other.
Good. We can finally drain the swamp. That is my dream, you guys, is for the swamp to be drained. And with Kash Patel, it just might happen. And with Doge, it just might happen.
Well, what I want is on the National Party platform, I want the lunatic from the left, the Tim Walz, the Gavin Newsom, the AOC, the Cory Bookers. Well, Cory Booker's a little bit, sometime he go off the rail. I think he's not taking his medication.
Well, I hate to bust your bubble, Voy, but his name is already floating around for the great job he did the other day, that he might be the front runner to run for president.
But
what did he say? Well, I mean,
he didn't do anything. He filibustered. There was no bill. There was nothing. He just literally went on the floor and stayed there for 24 hours and made speeches. And that was it. That was his whole thing, that he survived the whole night and on the House floor. Like, how stupid are you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's a shame.
But like I say, it's all about trying to go viral this day with these politicians. It's not. I wish he would have do that and spread the concern of what happened with Social Security. Now the Democrat, it was in CNN also. Well, the governor of Wisconsin corrects CNN, said, nope, we're not cutting Social Security. Nope, we're not doing that. Nope. Yeah, we're taking people that's 150 years old and 300 years old out of it.
Yeah.
I wish they spread the concern that's going on in Washington, all the waste and spending in Washington. That was what I was hoping. But it's about 6:49, so we're gonna be gone in about 2 minutes. Final point: Elon Musk is leaving in May. The Democrat, they are happy, but his job was only 130 days. But he will stay as an advisor to the president. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, I think that's very interesting because it says 130 consecutive days. That means 131st day he can take a break and start all over again. All right.
Okay.
All right. That's what it really means. But the Democrats, they're stupid people. They don't understand these things. All right.
So he's taking a break. I didn't hear that.
Yeah. I mean, it's 130 consecutive days.
That he can
Right.
advise, that he
That's
can
right.
promote.
All right. Then he can stop for a day or two, take a little break, and start it all up again.
Okay.
All
Because
right.
I remember when Doge was first put out that it was going to be done in like 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like on the 4th of July, on the birthday of America, like 2 years from now or a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that?
I would like to see Doge become a permanent entity within the federal government.
Right.
Right. Because we need oversight and we need people to be able to audit this system. It's a good system and it's needed, and I support it 100%. So the last thing I have to say, I mean, Voy and Sister Warrior, is really wonderful being on you again. I look forward to being home pretty soon. But while I'm out there, I'm preaching about what we're doing. This the political flashpoint. We're the hottest show on the air. I tell your visitors, our viewers and listeners to support this group. There's not too many Black radio programs out there anymore and on the radio. So support us, and don't forget, pick up this book.
Blacklisted.
That's right. Already some people in Orlando politically want to have a sit down with me.
Oh, wonderful.
Ooh, I'm going to have to bring you all in for security.
That's right. We got your back. We got your back.
That's right.
Wonderful.
All right. Is that your final word, Dr. White?
It is my final word. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for being with us this afternoon, Dr. White, and hopefully you get a safe return. And the name of Allah, be blessed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Wonderful.
Sister Warrior?
Yeah, I want to just throw this out there. Maybe we can elaborate a little bit more on it next week. But our great Governor Ron DeSantis, is trying to put a new amendment on the ballot, which is going to help homeowners with their property taxes. He's actually trying to remove it. And so that's going to help, a lot of homeowners here in our great state. So that is something the governor is looking to have on the ballot. So that's going to help all of you homeowners. And so I want to say thank you for having me here today. I really enjoyed the conversation. And don't forget, if you're in the community this Saturday, April 5th, we're having our Wives Speak event. Is going to be at the Church of Scientology in Orlando, Saturday from 11 to about 2:30 or so in the afternoon. Lunch is being served. It's free to the public. We're having an open conversation with wives in reference to being a wife, being a woman, being a mother, being a community member, and just showcasing women. So it's going to be free for the public. Come by and let's meet in person. So
Thank you, Amania, Sister Warrior. Thank you, Dr. White. Have a wonderful evening. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff, for staying on the board with me here for the 2 hours of show. And we already have Lady D in the house here, always looking great and fabulous. And always looking fabulous. And you got to see her with like little, oh my God. Go ahead.
Everybody wants to know when it's your fashion show. Oh my goodness! I said, don't ask me. I don't know.
I'm getting too
Ring him up
old.
and
Doc.
ask him.
I'm
He's
getting
always
too
well
old.
dressed from his head to his toe. I said, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So when is it? The
I don't
fashion
know.
show.
I don't know. I don't know. Thank you so much, but maybe I don't know. I'm too old.
Well, no, no. Age is just a number, honey.
It's just,
Just a number.
My God.
Right. Age is just a number.
Look at that lovely voice. Age is just a number.
Jeff, have Jeff.
Age is just a number.
It is just a number.
That sounds so lovely.
Oh, whatever. When is the fashion show?
You know, I used to have a Love Connection show. That's how I could do this.
Well, Jeff, he's talking to you, Jeff. Jeff is not saying a word.
No, Jeff said, I'm staying out of this one.
Jeff, grown folks' business?
I'm staying out of this one.
Stay out.
Well, whatever. Still, we're waiting. The ladies wants to know, and I'll be more than happy to share the date with them.
I tell you what, I want you to invite me on your show. We're gonna have a love connection between your voice and mine. It's gonna be fabulous.
Honey, I don't know if it's safe to have you come on my show. No, with those two over there and you. Oh no, I know when to stay in my lane, honey.
Stay in your lane?
Yes, I'm on the road at night.
It won't be about politics. It'll be about music and love connection.
But they've got you billed for one thing already. I'll stay in my lane. Jeff, my shoulder's not that broad. Jeff.
That's why you see me in my lane.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good one to stay with Lady D. She's gonna be here with you guys next. Have a wonderful Thursday and a wonderful weekend. Bye.
All right, guys.